So in this video we will present to you an introductory hymn and rite for initiation with Hecate. This rite is designed for the people who cannot, for health reasons, perform official initiation with Hecate on the crossroads, or use other traditional method. This method is intended for handicapped, crippled people, blind people to use. It is not intended for healthy individuals with ability to practice another form of initiation. This form of initiation is comprised of 3 parts. One part is the magical hymn, another part is introduction, and the third part is calling of Hecate to rise the sacred space, empower you and initiate you into her mysteries. The first part, comprised of introductory hymn, should be repeated over and over again until the presence of Hecate is felt. And then you should introduce yourself to Hecate, explaining to her your physical inability to perform official initiation, introducing yourself to her, and calling her to protect you and empower you as an individual. This hymn is consecrated. It's consecrated in a way that imposter spirits almost never can show up. I tried to make this hymn as easy to use and as safe as possible. I understand that this hymn indeed isn't perfect method of initiation. Many people will find many ways to discredit this, but this is something I used effectively, and I will also call another devotees of Hecate to review this method before it is released. If this video is released, it means it is safe, as much as magic can be safe. Following is the hymn you should recite, tapped and typed on the screen, with all of the 3 necessary parts. Introduction as the second part, introductory hymn as the first part, and call to Hecate for protection and initiation as the third part. Also, part of my personal initiatory ritual is recorded here for this video as I speak. I hope this will be useful to you, and understand that if you don't like my method, you can try somebody else's. But I really invested my heart and soul into this, and I use this for my own gain and benefit before sharing this to all of you. Initiate with the lady, and I hope you luck on the path of the old Hellenic and Thracian mysteries. Enjoy. Bye.
Hecata malta enaisu, itu Hecate asi, arimesu Hecate ati, interu Hecate ere, antavesu Hecate arat. As tainted being of tainted destiny, I introduce myself to you, O great lady of the crossroads, Hecate, ancient Titaness, the goddess of the dead, the soul of the world. I introduce myself to you. Rise the sacred space, protect me, and initiate me into your mysteries, as tainted being of tainted destiny. transform weakness into power, cries into memories. Hecate eteana etu, Hecate istunail, Hetave Hecate ani. Hecata malta ena isu, itu Hecate asi, arimesu Hecate ati, interu Hecate ere, antavesu Hecate arat. As tainted being of tainted destiny, I introduce you, I introduce myself to you, O great lady of the crossroads, Hecate, ancient Titaness, the goddess of the dead, the soul of the world, I introduce myself to you. Rise the sacred space, protect me, and initiate me into your mysteries, as tainted being of tainted destiny. Transform weakness into power, cries into memories. Hecate eteana etu, Hecate istunail, Hetave Hecate ani. Hecata malta ena isu, itu Hecate asi, arimesu Hecate ati, interu Hecate ere, antavesu Hecate arat. As tainted being of tainted destiny, I introduce you, I introduce myself to you, O great lady of the crossroads, Hecate, ancient Titaness, the goddess of the dead, the soul of the world, I introduce myself to you. Rise the sacred space, protect me, and initiate me into your mysteries, as tainted being of tainted destiny. Transform weakness into power, cries into memories. Hecate eteana etu, Hecate istunail, Hetave Hecate ani.
Before I end this video, I need to give a short note. This ritual is maybe simple, but it is far from easy. You need to invest a serious effort into this rite. I was instructed by Hecate that she should be given offerings during this ritual. Before you start reciting the hymn, you should give her the following offerings: either the glass of wine or 2 roses. If you don't have the glass of wine or 2 roses, to put them in front of visual representation of her as an offering, you should do the following. If you are not able to put the glass of wine and roses in front of her visual representation before starting this ritual, then do the following. In the middle of the ritual, when she appears in all of her energetic might, or manifest in some way. You should give her permission to take small amount of your energy as an offering. It won't damage you in any way. The amount of energy taken will be symbolic and extremely small. She is not a really vampiric force most of the time. I was instructed to do it this way. In order for this rite to be effective, you need to recite this hymn for a long time, until you feel her energy and experience undeniable sign of her presence. But don't expect Hollywood level bullshit of entity physically materializing and then physically speaking to you in a human voice or crazy poltergeist activity. Signs of her presence will be really subtle. Alteration in the energy of the room. Few knocks on the wall. Weird atmosphere. Sudden barking of the dogs in the distance. Weird visions in the middle of the rite. Things like that. Signs will be subtle. And when you start doing the rite, read introductory part, the first part of the hymn, until you feel her presence. It can last for a long time, from 40 minutes to few hours, if you are a beginner without any astral senses. If you are, however, able to feel spirits in some way, then you will need much smaller amount of time to actually feel her presence. You need to understand that magic isn't easy. There is no way I can make a magic easy. The only thing I can do with those videos is to make it practicable for disabled, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I am not claiming my methods are the best. I am not claiming I am the prophet, because I am not the best, and I am far from the prophet. But I am making this video in a hope that they will indeed make those arts and those spirits practicable and approachable to those to whom they weren't approachable and practical previously. Devote yourself seriously for this rite. Take a bath if you can. Do it alone. If you cannot do it alone, then ask somebody to help you. But please don't tell anybody you are going to perform this rite before you actually perform it. Because majority of people who will watch this video and who are intended to watch this video win in an environment and live in an environment in which magic is not acceptable. And since many of the people intended to practice the craft in this video are partially dependent on others, it is fundamental to not say to anybody that you will actually perform this if you cannot vibrate the words, because you are afraid of awaking somebody or disturbing somebody. It is enough to whisper. If you are unable to speak, then it is enough to imagine yourself vibrating those words. If you cannot hear me chanting because you are deaf, then just pronounce them in a way you think they should be pronounced. But if you are not deaf, then pronounce it as close to my pronunciation as you can. An introductory part, when you introduce yourself, is really important. You need to introduce yourself in a way which represents your struggle and hardship in life due to your physical limitations. If you cannot speak, then try to send message to the deity, in this case Hecate, using your mind. As soon as you feel her presence in a way described. If anybody has any suggestions regarding this video series and the way population I am trying to reach with those videos should be approached, message me. Because this is a little bit too big of a work for me as a one guy. I am having my own issues, my own health issues and other types of issues, which I am solving with magic, and it's going pretty well. But there are some things I cannot do myself, and if anybody can help me with this, I will be glad to accept their help. If anybody is willing to help me in making this video series better. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Hecate, for teaching me what you taught me. And the great deity, I cannot pay my debt back no matter how hard I try. And probably if you watch this video and if you try to initiate into her mysteries honestly, in whatever way you can, she will teach you much more things than she taught me, because I am not really talented guy for Hecatean mysteries. There are much more powerful magicians and much more knowledgeable people regarding Hecate out there than I am. Peace out. So today I wanted to talk about goddess Isis. But due to changes in my path and a lot of things I experienced, I wanted to talk about Hecate, the goddess Hecate, the titaness Hecate. And this is kind of introductory video of my path working with Hecate. Hecate replaced my male guide Lucifer. She literally came and told me that Lucifer shouldn't be one of my guides anymore, and that she is the one who will teach me what I need to know, which Lucifer wasn't able to. And I will tell you how this all started. So I noticed that some kind of entity is visiting me for a few days, but I didn't know who it was. And then I listened to one of the podcasts about Hecate, or Hecate, call her whatever you want. And she visited me a few times after that podcast. She empowered me. And she told me she wanted to work. And she told me she wanted to replace Lucifer, my main male guide. And I told her no. And then I called Lucifer, and he confirmed that Hecate should indeed replace him as my guide. When I wanted to continue to work with Lucifer and her at the same time, she told me that other practitioners can work with Lucifer and her at the same time, but for my case, for my ascension, she should take all of Lucifer's responsibilities, and I should work with her to learn what Lucifer wasn't able to teach me. And so, what I tried is, I literally tried to call Lucifer in that same ritual, despite of what she told me. And what she did was she literally blocked a Lucifer from appearing in the rite. She literally grew in presence, and then she started pulsating through the entire room and creating some kind of magnetic field into entire room. And she literally blocked Lucifer from coming into my rite. Now, it all had personal significance to me. Other practitioners can work with Lucifer and Hecate. at the same time. But what I wanted to do here in this video specifically is I wanted to announce to everybody that Hecate, or Hecate, is one of my primary guides from now on, together with Lilith and some other spirits. I didn't talk a lot about publicly on this channel. And you will see a lot of videos about Hecate in the future on this channel. This specific video will talk about what misconceptions I heard about Hecate, which I found out to be wrong. And this video will debunk those misconceptions. So, the first misconception I heard about Hecate, which is the biggest one, is that she somehow works as a trinity with Lucifer, Belial, and that somehow she creates some kind of a trident with them. First and foremost, Lucifer, Belial, and Hecate originate from three completely different magical traditions. They are attuned to three completely different currents, and historically they come from three completely different places. Hecate comes from Thrace and modern Turkey and modern Bulgaria. Belial comes from ancient Jews and ancient Middle East. And Lucifer comes from old Italian witchcraft known as Stregoneria. And because one famous occult author jumps them together in his own magical tradition, it doesn't mean that those three entities has anything to do with each other. So there is one thing. All of those three entities are darker entities. They are darker powers and forces, and you can work with all of them at the same time. But the fact that one famous magical author lumps them together, it doesn't mean that they originally come from the same tradition or are the best spirits to be lumped together. Another misconception I heard about Hecate is that she is somehow really dark and really dangerous goddess. And that somehow she is so dangerous that only chosen people can approach her and work with her. And in my experience, that's not true. You see, I worked with a lot of spirits. And majority of spirits I worked with, and I work with, such as Lilith, Iblis, Azazel, Belial, Lucifer, are more dangerous than Hecate. Hecate really can be dangerous if you offend her and if you are behaving like a prick. But if you ask me, Hecate is one of the safest dark deities you can approach. She is much safer than Belial, she is much safer than Satan, she is much safer than Azazel, she is much safer than Lilith, she is much safer than the bunch of angels, she is much safer than Santa Muerte, she is much safer than all of those deities I mentioned. And list goes on and on and on. Hecate is a dark goddess, so she can be dangerous. But she is much less dangerous than majority of darker deities around there, and majority of lighter deities around there. If you approach her with respect, Hecate or Hecate is extremely safe to work with. And I heard about Lilith killing people. I heard about Azazel killing people. I heard about Belial killing people. And I know testified cases of those instances. In some ways. But I never heard about Hecate killing anybody. Yes, she can punish severely.
but she is much less dangerous than the spirits I already mentioned. Third misconception about Hecate is that she somehow fits in mother, maiden, crone archetypes. In my experience, she is beyond any of those archetypes, and she is much ancient and transcendental than those archetypes are. Hecate is really something which is beyond our understanding, and you can't categorize beings like Hecate. It's just not possible. You cannot say Hecate is this, or Hecate is that, or Hecate is only coming to people so and so. She is definitely being beyond our understanding. She is being beyond our comprehension, and we cannot put limitations on her. Now, another misconception I heard about Hecate is that she is somehow subservient to Satan, to Qliphoth, or to demonic current. She is not, and I will argue that according to gnosis of me and gnosis of multiple other sorcerers and magicians, Hecate is much more stronger than your average demon. Hecate is in same power level as Greek titans. She is a titan. And Qliphothic demons and so are somewhere at as the same power level as the Olympians, as the Greek gods of the Olympus. Average demonic king is somewhere at the same power level as some Greek gods from the Olympus. And titans are much stronger than the Olympian gods. Titans ruled the world before the Olympians. So Hecate is much more stronger than your average demon or your average Olympian god. Her power level is much more and beyond beings like Satan or Azazel or Belial or Lucifer. Her power level is on a completely different scale. She is much more powerful being. Another misconception I heard about Hecate is that she somehow works only with the females, which is also absolute nonsense. You can work with her as a male. And there is one more misconception I think I heard about Hecate, and that's that she is originally a Greek goddess, and that she is originated in Greece. And that's not true either. Hecate has two streams of origin. One stream of her origin comes from Thrace, which is the modern Bulgaria, and another stream of her origin comes from Anatolia, which was known back then as Asia Minor, and that part of the world was inhabited by the Hittites and Lydians, other two Indo-European peoples, who actually started the cults of Hecate and Cybele, or Cybele, you know the myth about Cybele and Adonis. So Hecate wasn't originally Greek, and Hecate was never widely venerated in the Greek world. She was incorporated in Greek pantheon and in Greek mythology as a titan, but her cult was never really strong. She was always a marginal deity, and her followers were often persecuted due to the knowledge Hecate gave. And the last, but not least,
misconception about Hecate is, let me remember, what was the last misconception about her? So, to be honest, I think I remembered something. But I hope debunking those misconceptions about Hecate will give you a bigger insight into this deity. The last misconception I heard about Hecate is that Hecate is somehow difficult to conjure, call, or summon. For me, she was one of the easiest deities to summon, and according to experience of many other practitioners, she is not a difficult deity to summon, as long as you know what you are doing. Thank you for your time and effort, and I hope this video contributed to your understanding of the old goddess. Peace out. Hello, today I am going to talk about Hecate and the rite I performed with her. First, let's explain what's the purpose of the rite I performed and why it should be performed. Then I will explain how to perform it, and then also we will discuss some of the characteristics of Hecate as the Empress of the Crossroads and the Underworld in my personal experience. Now, what is the ritual I performed? It is technically a deal with Hecate, the Empress of the Crossroads, in which I receive certain benefits from her, and in return I open to her a portal to the specific spiritual realm, in order for the energy of that specific realm to be more in contact with our spiritual reality and more metaphysically inclined to influence this world. Because in order for this world to be more influenced by the certain energies, there is a necessity for humans to exist who will work with those spirits and energies in order for that energy to manifest itself within this world better. That's the reason why in ancient worlds that priests were extremely important for the spiritual connection between humans and gods, and therefore because humans are necessary, those type of deals are kinda beneficial to spirits and also humans who do them. Now, Hecate is a really complex being, and in return for doing so, for opening this portal for her, you can ask for many things. However, I am still the one who just performed the ritual, so I have to wait to see how much of things I asked for will materialize and how it will materialize. I personally did the following in order to perform the rite. I summoned Hecate, I conjured her, and then I told her that I want to open a gateway for her. And then she told me to simply proclaim that I am letting go of the piece of my divine spark in order to create an anchor for the portal. Then I allowed Hecate to vampirize me in order to collect the energy necessary for the opening of the portal. And let me explain how I did it and how you can do it too. So, first you raise the sacred space, and then you summon the Hecate with any chant you have, or any technique you have. It can be magical chants, it can be conjurations, it can be formal evocations, you can even invoke the spirit. But indirect methodologies such as petitions or just lighting candles, that's not allowed. You actually need to summon it in a way.
You need to summon her. After that is done, then you need to kinda tell her that you want to open this gateway, and you need to proclaim that you will give a piece of your divine spark in order to create a permanent portal for her. Now the difficult part comes for this ritual, because after you proclaimed this, what will happen is Hecate will start vampirizing your energy field in order to collect the power for opening of the portal. After that happens, she will literally go into your core essence and take the piece of your divine spark and infuse it into newly opened portal. Now, where should portal be opened? That's the question, which is really interesting for many people who watch this video, however. And I only can say where I opened it and why I did it and why Hecate asked for it. So I opened a portal to the realm known as Eschaton, and technically I didn't open it in my environment or anything like it. I opened it in a boundary between Eschaton and our world. So let me explain what is Eschaton. Eschaton is technically the place where the restless dead reside. It is the place between the astral and physical realms. And it is the place where a majority of people who die violent death or are still restless as souls live. And there is another question: why should Hecate be invested in opening of those kinds of portals? Well, she should be invested in it because she rules over the restless dead and has great authority over the Eschaton. Therefore, if you create a portal between Eschaton and our world, then you greatly increase the influence of Hecate in this realm. So she will kind of watch over you and be really grateful to you for this. However, this is something which should be done only with people who work with Hecate for a long time. However, what makes this portal opening and gate walking much difficult than the one I previously did is intensity, to say the least. This ritual was really intense and I am still recovering. Now the question remains: what are permanent consequences for the operator? Well, you will permanently be infused with the essence of Hecate for the rest of your existence. This is something I did in order to have my request fulfilled, which was extremely important to me, as well as have that relationship with Hecate because I need her assistance due to me practicing many paths at once, and Hecate as the queen of the crossroads is definitely the good patron if you want to work with her long term. And she is also really good if you are traveling multiple paths. So I am now, since I kinda explained the methodology, I will get over it once again. You raise the sacred space, you summon Hecate in a sacred space, then you proclaim that you want to open a permanent gateway to her, to Eschaton or to any other realm she desires to be reached through those gateways. You can open a portal on a particular physical place, or you can open it on a astral boundary between that realm and our realm without actually opening a portal in any physical place. It kind of depends on your abilities, capabilities and preferences. It is easier to open a portal in physical place than on astral boundary between certain astral realm and physical world, but you do as you wish. I also warn once again that this shouldn't be done by people who do not have deep relationship with Hecate,
And I kinda also suggest that you should stay away from this if you don't want to work with Hecate long term. So the last thing I will say about those gate walkings is that you should be careful where you are opening them, because if you open it at the wrong place, especially if you open a gateway to Eschaton, I recommend it being opened where you have a lot of restless dead, who will kinda be taken care of by Hecate through this portal. You really waste your energy if you open this portal somewhere where there are no lot of restless dead. I personally open my portal near the sea, so that's my choice. But for the end, I'll kinda discuss my relationship with Hecate and the nature of my work with her. So, my work with her is closely connected to her as the Queen of the Crossroads and the Empress of the Dead. To me, she seems really dark and primordial, and on many occasions extremely dangerous. I don't see her as a benevolent dark mother. To me, she is something much more sinister and much more primordial, much more predatory. However, she is really capable of controlling her predatory aspects, and she can definitely be that goddess mother you probably see mostly online by people who work with her. But what I can say about this is that Hecate shouldn't be taken lightly. She should be approached really seriously and really intensely. I definitely do not advise approaching Hecate lightheartedly, and when one approaches Hecate, he should be prepared for extreme changes, and extreme measures should be taken in order to prevent things from escalating into the negative directions, especially when people are undisciplined. She will kick your ass if you do things wrong, and she doesn't necessarily care about your desires. She will lead you to the path which is best for you. So if you want to kind of boss Hecate or make deals with Hecate, bossing is not allowed, it will kill you. However, if you make any deals with her, be ready to offer serious change and serious sacrifice to her in your personal behavior and also spiritual effort. She definitely delivers what she promises to deliver. However, she demands extreme dedication to the goal by the practitioner. And she is really mystical in nature and good in providing mystical experiences. Now, my last conjuration of Hecate was in preparation for this video and this ritual. It was a really intense experience which drained me, especially the vampirization part. My advice for work with Hecate is to technically raise a sacred space dedicated to her and meditate in that space and that energy for 20 days upon the black sun until you kinda open up your astral senses and perceptions so that you can see her and perceive her and adapt to extreme energy changes which can be generated by spirits of her level. So my last advice for work with Hecate is that necromancy she teaches, despite of what you heard by many practitioners, isn't for everyone. Hecatean necromancy is extreme, and in the past I talked to one extremely powerful Hecatean practitioner who managed to create a haunted house with it, with literal poltergeist activity. And her necromancy is next level, so if one wants to study her necromancy, in which I am not an expert. You kinda need to work with her for years in order to successfully do it. I have one small advice for people who wanna start practicing it. Go to the graveyard, raise sacred space to Hecate, and then repeat magical chant Hecate Dea Necromantie over and over again, and she will come in the aspect which is the most adequate for the necromantic's workings, and she will start teaching you the basics. Then again, I need to elaborate that I am not expert in Hecatean necromancy. However, I hope that this video with all of the information provided will be helpful. Thanks for watching.